Hello again. Welcome back to Voodoo People's Mapping Devlog. This is the episode on VIPR Factory Alpha 4. And I've been dreading making this one because this version broke me a little bit. This is the most recent version. It was the one that we playtested the most recently. And I will not hesitate to say that this playtest was a catastrophe. It was a catastrophe for many reasons. One of which was that I actually just made a really big, technical mistake in the playtest. But even with that technical mistake, sorry, I should say technical mistake in the map for the playtest, which I'll show you. But I also just, even with that mistake, as I was watching it, I actually played in this playtest. I was in this one. I wasn't like the other ones. I was actually away and I watched the demo afterwards. But I was actually in this playtest, and I could just see while playing it that it was not playing well, because I remember just seeing teams totally scattered, the VIP all alone. People didn't know where to go, what to do. None of the action was happening at the correct places, and I was actually really, really frustrated with this version of the map. I After this map, it wasn't even over, and I told people, you should just RTV, just get off this map because this is going really badly. And I didn't really rage quit, but I frustrated disappointment quit after this. And normally I try to always stay for the full play test and give every map the attention it deserves. But I was in just such a bad mood after this. And I actually went and I took a little break from mapping after this. I took a week-long break because I was just in kind of a funk, and I really didn't want to even look at it for a while, and that really helped, because I had been basically mapping. I've been so determined to make this map work, and the truth is, leading up to this playtest for this version, I was actually really optimistic. I had really convinced myself that yeah, this is good. This is good. Oh, this layout is flowing so well. This is going to go so well. This is going to be good. I'm totally going to go out of alpha and into beta after this. I felt on top of the world, and I just came crashing down after this playtest. So now some time has passed. I am back to mapping on it again. I'm very close to having an alpha 5. Which I'm trying to be a bit more humble about this time and not get myself all excited, but I am feeling a bit more optimistic about that layout. But for now, let's focus on this version and what went so very wrong, I'm going to try to find out what went so very wrong. So we're looking at mid at the beginning here is where I normally like to start these videos because it's more interesting than looking at a spawn room. But in keeping with tradition, I will go and start back at spawn just so we can sort of walk through the map together. So here we are in the spawn room. Very typical spawn room, obviously. We have one door here. We don't have this third door for going to defend the escape zone. We do have this, though, this little drop down. I'll come back to that. You can see here that we've got the conveyor belt under here, just a nice little visual detail. So the right door is actually the defense door. It's intended to be because you come here and so despite this map not playing very well, I did actually put a lot more thought into the layout and the choices that players have. I just think I still didn't execute it all that well. So when you come out of this door, my thinking was that you come out here and the thing that catches your eye is this exit here and this hallway, which is just another exit, and both of these lead to the escape zone. My thinking here was that you know what, I was actually a little bit sloppy when I released this too. I think I'll show you the worst sloppy mistake I made, but I forgot to even put the signs here. There's supposed to be a sign here that says escape zone, and a map here that says, or sorry, a sign here that says a control point, but it's not there. So normally there'd be a escape zone sign here, and you come out this way, and the idea here is that kind of either way you go, you end up at the escape zone. Because I wanted to make it that when you're spawning and you need to go defend, it should be pretty unmistakable where you need to go. And you can see the escape zone over there. I think that is okay. That very small design decision is actually very deliberate, and I think it's fine. It's just the rest of the map doesn't play very well. And then this door is meant to be the control point door. Again, there should be a sign that this says control point. You come out of here, and I put these barrels here specifically to try to kind of block your view of that doorway. It doubles as both a sightline blocker to stop from getting spawn camped from here, like right out the door spawn camped, and as well as trying to just make players understand they need to go this way, coupled with a sign, right? So the intended way to play this is that you. Oh, actually, you know what? Wait, one more thing. This drop down. I thought this was just a creative little thing here. I imagine that like, okay, you want to go defend, you could drop down here, and you can actually start riding the conveyor belt like right out of spawn. One of the differences of this map to previous versions is that the conveyor belts actually run the entire length of the map, which I thought was a pretty cool detail, but I'll come back to that. So you come out this way and you're getting ready to go attack the control point. So this layout, this part of the layout is actually somewhat similar to Alpha 3. In that, like, you come out here and you have this main door over to the left, and then you had this like roundabout flank door over here. In this version, this door is a bit bigger. It probably could have been bigger than this one, and it's also open. And this was actually something that ABP, one of the devs, told me from the previous version, which I forgot to talk about in the last video. But he said that like you should have doors be like larger the more important they are, because like in Alpha 3, like every door in main was the same size, and like once he pointed that out, I was like, yeah, that is a bit like not disorienting, but like it's confusing where you're supposed to go. Like bigger doors just kind of signal like more important. So I tried to make this door a bit bigger than this one here, and yeah. So and you you still have this conveyor belt, like this one that you go attack the enemy point with, right? Yeah, up here, because I really like that idea and I decided to keep it around. Is that? Oh, that one's missing too. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, this is really bad. I was actually so sloppy on this release. I'm actually kind of ashamed of myself for putting this out because I really rushed it towards the end. Anyway, yeah. So these both go into mid. This was meant to be like, you know, you in both cases here. I was very careful again to maintain sight of the point as soon as you come out, because the point is that like once you're here, you should know exactly where to go. Remember, I talked about having this problem where people would always end up at the wrong point, and I tried to like really hard to mitigate that. So like when you're here, you see the point immediately, and when you come out here, you see the point immediately. That was very much on purpose. Yeah, okay. Well, again, let's talk about the intended play again, and then I'll talk about what really happened, as usual. So yeah, as you can see, mid has been opened up quite a lot in general. It's like we've lost some space up in the edges, but that was not really important playable space to begin with. You can see that it's now back to like the A2 layout a bit, where it's like a big gap in between of like two platforms, sort of. The idea here is being in the two bridge style, where you can see each other cap from a distance and you can go challenge each other. And to challenge each other, you have to go over the conveyor belts, over the death pit. I imagine this as a sort of little two-tiered island for a team to try and gain a foothold to like both defend their own point and be, you know, harassing the point here, stopping the other team from capping. So the conveyor belts, I made them faster, and I did increase the space between the boxes a little bit, but it is not enough. I think it needs to be even faster, and there needs to be even more space between the boxes. So that's what you're going to see in A5 for those of you who will be attending the next playtest and have, you know, if it hasn't already happened yet. Hi, people to the future. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for mid here. You can see like I tried to address the constant flow blocker problems by just making it a lot more open. Like it's there really is just two ways to go: this way, and then like you can attack the other point that way, right? So if you capture this point, and you know, like you're ready to now go attack go attack the escape zone, you would normally go this way. You're supposed to go this way. There's this alternate route here. These are setup gates. That's why you know it's like this. I actually didn't even really know. Just short aside about this. One thing about this layout that I was always wondering is like, how am I going to deal with a setup gate here? Because like you can see the boxes are just going through it because I didn't know what to do. But like, how am I going to stop like without having boxes clipped through it. And since it runs the entire length of the map, I really didn't know. And in the next version, I actually have a much better way of dealing with this by changing how the belts work. But in any case, so normally you would go this way. This would be main. Um, this is just meant to be, again, this is kind of the staging room that I talked about from earlier, where you'd get ready to like mount an attack on the enemy team. The difference here being that we now have 2 belts, because again, the belts run basically from spawn to escape zone in both directions, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. And so this is the same conveyor belt as what starts at red spawn. If you were to ride the conveyor belt the whole way, you'd end up here. And so this would be the main route to go attack the room that has like the escape zone in it, which is up there with the car. There's also this side flank, which you can go drop down to here, and alternately go like through here with the escape zone up there. And like I had this sort of underground tunnel area here, which allows you to sort of like, you know, pop up like a gopher here next to the escape zone, or go up to here where you get a one-way gate. And this is like the final all or nothing staging point. Like there's kind of no going back here. Like you're gonna make your push in here. But my idea here was that like you're sort of giving away your play, because once the other team would notice that you're in here, you know, like they know that there's only really one way you're gonna feasibly come out of this, and they could even start like pressuring you by following you up from behind and attacking you. This conveyor belt, obviously, it keeps running this way, and it takes you pretty close to the escape zone as well. It gets you pretty close. And this window is here so that I again had this visibility thing in mind, because I noticed that it seemed like it was really unclear where things were, and I thought that having that be glass there helps you see where the car is, and it helps the attackers orient themselves, and also helps visibility on this side, knowing that the other team is you know, back there, like they're getting ready to attack. That was the thinking behind this big window. A little bit cheap, maybe. I was never it felt like a bit of a band-aid solution, but I couldn't think of any other way to do it, so it stayed that way. So when you're attacking here, obviously I showed it a little bit, but this is the escape zone room, and you can see, so this is like the enemy spawn here, and you would come out here to defend, or come up here to defend from another angle. And yeah, basically like have these pillars for cover, and I don't really know what else to say about it. I just sort of designed this room what I thought would be a cool arena, and yeah, that's basically it. You'll notice this thing here is I talked about this in the last couple videos about Factory, where I said that like the skybox started to disappear because I wanted it to be like, you know, you're escaping this very dark and treacherous and hazardous factory. And I thought at one point when I was doing this, and I didn't want to have any more skylights or anything like that, or windows, and I thought, hey, you know what? How about a big bright light, kind of like at the end of Portal and Portal 2? I guess it's both that end that way. Sorry, spoiler alert. But like, you end up getting lifted sort of like into the light. Now this is like very low fidelity right now because it was still in development. So like this, I would take some time to make it look a lot more heavenly and like inviting. But the idea here is that like, you know, your car is parked here, you're on it, and when you capture, the logic actually does work in this version that like this thing will start carrying you upwards. And I thought that was kind of cool. It gives a nice sort of sense of completion, sense of closure to the map, that like, you know, you escape and you get to like ride up into the sunlight. You know, it's I found that very fitting. And this is also present in A5. I think I just copied and pasted this entire assembly. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this sort of half-moon room. So this in the previous version was like a lot more complicated, a lot more like geometrically weird and Jiminy jankily, and it was just like really kind of a headache to look at. And so I tried to simplify it a lot. I made it like a much more open room. You can see we have these windows both for visibility and for flanking the enemy team. That was the point of this window being accessible, is that like, you know, if you were coming out here, you can actually go and like harass the enemy team as they're attacking here, put pressure on them. Um, the reason why this weird kind of uh, like ramp, like half moon ramp is here, is so that as you're walking out here, you see how it doesn't block the window? See, if that floor had continued, then like what you'd see is like the conveyor belt would be like cutting off what's below. But when you're up here, you can see a bit more what's down there. And I think that was actually a nice touch. That's just like a nice little bit of uh, in my opinion at least, kind of creative use of geometry to like make a window more visible that way. You can see some of them have glass in them. Originally, I wanted them to not have any glass, but there was just a stupid sight line here. Like, just like look at that. Like that's basically the enemy spawn over there. If you just go all the way to here, so like that was like super unfair. And I couldn't think of any other way to fix that other than to put glass in there because the visibility here was like paramount. Like that was the main reason for all of this. So I couldn't get rid of the visibility, right? Um, yeah. So that was the intended gameplay flow of the map. And honestly, as usual, it's a running theme. Like none of that happened. The map did not do a good job of corralling people. Now, to be fair, it's because I was incredibly sloppy, and I still can't believe I did this. I forgot a setup gate here. You see how the setup gates are still closed, and this one is not. So the blue team could get in this way, and I'm pretty sure blue team can get in this way, and then red team can get in this way, but they actually can't get in this way because I did remember this setup gate. So like, just yeah, I mean that for one, like it does invalidate the entire playtest a bit because I mean, well, obviously, like the whole map is desymmetrized. You know, like it's like I remember playing and I heard like explosions and I saw the kill feed popping up before the setup gates open, and I just like immediately just like double face palmed like into my hands on my desk, and people on the voice chat were like, why can you attack people during setup? Oh, it's like CP Will. Oh, that's cool. And I'm like, oh god, no, 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 no. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing and disappointing. Because I'd been looking forward to it like all week. Like I said, I was feeling so confident going in, and to have that happen was a bit of a downer. But even with that happening, that technical screw up, I would say you could still glean some information from a playtest. Okay, like once the setup gates have opened and you wait a few minutes, like the game should like kind of more or less balance out to some extent. And I think it did, but like as I was playing, like because I made the map, I know the routes, right? Like I know I'm supposed to go this way. But again, we had this exact same problem as in A3, where people just didn't go that way. They didn't go to the here, and they didn't even go to here. They just kept running, just like chasing butterflies down here, and then up here, and then they get to this door, and then because this one didn't have a setup gate, they just went straight through it, and like voila, they're at the wrong point again. Bit of a running theme with this map, just ending up at the wrong point through one screw up of mine or another. But anyway, even after all that stuff, like I said, like even after the map sort of equalized, like nobody was taking this door. Very few people were taking this door. Some people were just running around like over here because they're like lost or they're just exploring or whatever. And nobody's where they're supposed to be. I remember playing and like I killed the VIP and he was like all alone here, but like his team was not dead. So like they were somewhere, but they were not with their VIP. And I mean, you could just say like, oh, well, that's bad team coordination, but like, no, they were lost. Like nobody knew where they were. Everyone was just skirmishing at random spots, and yeah, like it was very clear to me that like the map was still not corralling people properly. And yeah, that was the source of my frustration because not only did I make these embarrassing technical screw ups, but like on top of that, the map was still just not doing its job properly. So, okay, like what happened post mortem? One of the first things I did was I actually just opened up the VMF for 2 Bridge and I drew a brush around the map around the approximate boundary of the playable area, and I copied it into this map. And I found that this map was, I think, probably about 100% too big. Now, keep in mind, like 100% across 2 dimensions doesn't look like, it's not like it's 2 times too wide and 2 times too tall. That, like, it extends what looks like about 50% on either side, and that's about 200, like 100% oversized. And like, of course, there's layout issues, but like that I think is a big problem here, because Two Bridge is a well-playing map, like as are the other VIPR maps. Drizzle, the other official one, and Chopper, the, well, not confirmed, but I kind of assume soon to be official. Mark my words. But it's just too big, and when it's too big and it's partitioned like this, so like you have a room here and a room here and a room here and even some rooms over here, like it just means that, like, if I'm over here and someone is way over here, like we will never meet each other because there's just too much space in between. And like what you end up with then is like a bunch of just random skirmishes happening all over the place, and people aren't really finding each other. And another issue with this, and on top of being too big, is that I think it's just a bit too, like, I don't know, like constricting. There's you don't really feel free because everything is just like a bunch of corridors and partitioned rooms. I've always found kind of like the best TF2 maps. I mean, like every map in TF2 is like a series of like rooms and corridors, effectively. But like the really good ones are just like using very carefully placed choke points to join flowing arenas together, if that makes sense. And I feel like this isn't really doing that very well. It's doing it if everybody knows the layout and everybody's playing like the proper meta, I think. But here it's just kind of like, okay, so I'm here, and it's like there's like a whole entire complex of rooms and hallways up there, and a complex of rooms and hallways over there, and it just doesn't really feel like things are connected. Like everything feels very disjointed. And so, yeah, like I think people just were moving between these large areas with too much space in between. And sometimes they're running into enemies, and sometimes they're running into teammates, but for the most part, they were just kind of meandering around and not really getting much done. And I, like, despite being a bit too big, I think that this map actually would play all right if it was like a team of 12 people on either side and they both knew the map really well, and like they all knew the optimal routes, and they all, like, if they knew the layout and they understood how the map is like supposed to be played, I think it actually would play all right. Personally, it's just that, like, we're never going to get there because like a map needs to be beginner friendly enough that like you can grow to that level, right? Like if it's just confusing and boring and like not fun, then like no one's gonna play it. They're just gonna think of it as like that really bad map that they don't want to play. And yeah, like this map just wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to learn. It was confusing to people. And yeah, it's a lot. I'd say like the lesson to this map was that like I needed to find ways to join arenas a bit more fluidly, make it really clear where to go. Like I have a theory that the reason why people kept going this way is because like if I come out now, right? Like let's say I go out the quote unquote right door, right? I would go out the right door. Okay, and I'm going the right way. I'm going, okay, control point this way. Da 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 da. And it's like right here, bam. What do you see? Right? Movement over there with the boxes, bright color with the red, and you're like, and look at that. You didn't even see what's over here, right? It's so easy to miss this because you're coming out here at an angle. And so you just kind of run in a straight line. And like I've got FOV, I think like 120, and even I don't see that. So like the average person playing on FOV 90, like you know what? Can I just, how do I do this? FOV 90. Yeah. Like that's even worse. See, like You won't you won't even see anything. Oh, how do people play like this? Oh my god. Oh, that's better. Anyway, um, and yeah, like you just go this way, and even then, like, so there you go. Like, there's the door here. Like, as you're on your way to this very, well, I don't know if this is very inviting looking, but like this kind of, you want to see this room with this conveyor belts. Like, there's stuff moving in here. The whole gimmick of the map is that there's these conveyors. You want to go check them out. Um, and like, look at that. Like in the corner of your eye, right there. Look to the left of your screen, right there. Control point, right? Again, let's do the FOV thing. Yeah, see, you'd walk right by it. You wouldn't even see it. Like that's not effective flow design. Um, so yeah, like if you knew to go there, sure, that would be a good spot to go. But people just don't do that. They go to what's interesting and what they see. And this room is more interesting, you know. So yeah, I think that was kind of the main problem with this map, is that like the flow was not, the flow was intended, but it was really hard to notice, right? Like it's just the natural progression of how you move through it just draws you to like the wrong spot. And like once you're in here, it's just like you're in just like a new area, and you don't even really like, you don't even really think about what's up there anymore because you're already into here. And like now it's like, now this room is a thing of the past, you know. And like look at that, wrong point again, right? um so yeah, like the big problems here, I think, were like map too big. You need to make too much of a deliberate diversion from what feels natural to get to where you're supposed to go. You know, you're supposed to go, or you're supposed to go like, right? Like you don't just go straight naturally and feel like you're just gliding through the map. And just disjointedness. You know, like just things feeling further away than they are. And that's where I think I went wrong on this version. Um, you know, aside from the embarrassing technical screw ups. Um, because you know, it's a little bit of a bummer because like it just means that like I never actually really got to see how this mid plays, right? And but the problem is that like I didn't really know. I haven't completely redesigned the map for A5, but I have made quite substantial changes, especially to kind of like this area here and like this area. You'll see it in A5. It's quite different, but I think it. I hope, God, I hope it flows a lot better. Um, but I never got to see like a proper mid fight, and so like I don't really know if this arena actually works or not. But the mid in A5, aside from those changes to the edges I talked about, is still rather similar. So here's hoping that we'll see some better engagements in A5, and I'll be able to start like tweaking the specificities of the arena. You know, like because like to me that's like when you're moving into beta, right? Like in my opinion, a map goes from alpha to beta when it's like layout stable. Like things aren't going to change much. Like you may punch a doorway through here or like move a flank back or something like that. But like that means like all the macro elements, like all of the big arenas are in place and you're just changing how they're connected. And right now I'm still, you know, after five, no, well, because alpha one didn't really exist. So after like 4 alphas, I'm still just kind of banging rocks together with the layout and seeing what works. But anyway, here's hoping for this Sunday, or you know, whatever the Sunday that will be coming for those of you who are watching this in the future. Um, here's hoping that it will go a lot better, and I can finally start moving on to like beta tweaking. All right, thanks for listening to me gripe and whine and complain about how hard mapping is. You know, I still like it. I mean, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be doing it anymore. But you know, it is important to like reflect on also the parts that frustrate you, um, because you know those are like the moments where it really tests if you really like the hobby, in my opinion. And again, it doesn't. It's not just for mapping. It's about like whatever hobby you have. It's like you need to hit the bottom of the hobby a few times. And if you still find yourself getting back on the horse, you know, then I guess it means you really like the hobby. So I guess I really like mapping. Yeah. So see you next week now, since I don't have anything else to talk about before the next version of Factory, I'll see some of you at the playtest. And so, wish me luck. Bye bye.